It's time now for your weekly fishing reports and real-time outdoor news. This is the Southwest Outdoors Report, powered by Chevy Silverado, the official truck of the outdoors.
Hi everybody. Whoever coined the phrase, "this ain't my first rodeo," just very well may have been talking about me as far as fishing professionally goes, all the way from fishing radio shows back in the 80s on WBAP to fishing Bassmaster tournaments for a few years to now doing television for about 26 years. Thought I'd seen everything. But what's happening this summer and going into this fall may very well be one of the most unique and unusual things that's happened in my entire fishing career. We've got so many lakes around our region that are extremely low. You know about the drought conditions, and I don't think I've ever seen a time when choosing which lake that we'll go fishing on right here on this show each week is to a large degree predicated upon which lakes that still have a boat launch usable in the water. Well, we're gonna attempt that today, and I'd like to welcome you into Lake Bridgeport, which is located up in northwest Texas in Wise County. And I want to show you something pretty unusual. The water line here at Lake Bridgeport is normally way up here, almost on the top of these rocks that you see on the left-hand side of your screen. Now, however, this lake is somewhere around 14 or 15 feet low, walking all the way down this ramp, and here is the water level now. It is really unusual to see water levels this low around the region, but they are. We deal with it, and the fishing actually has been pretty good. So on today's show, we're going to get out on Lake Bridgeport. While I'm out there doing that, we're taking you around the region for your very latest fishing reports from Oklahoma, Louisiana, Texas freshwater, and along the Texas and Louisiana Gulf Coast. In addition, on this week's Lowrance Hot Lake of the Week, we're taking you to southeast Louisiana to one of the best redfish and speckled trout destinations along the entire marsh and coastline of Louisiana. Also on this week's Big Catch of the Week, I'm going to show you a very unusual fish for one of the lakes up in North Texas. Also, we'll have your Ask the Pro expert answers to your fishing questions, the Academy Right stuff, and who knows what else is going to happen on today's show. Right now, I'm going to idle on out into Lake Bridgeport, check things out, and you go back to the FSN studios. Here's Julie with this week's Chevy Weekend Planner.
Great news! The fishing tables show the first weekend in October to be one of the best times of the entire month for game fish activity. The prime daylight times will begin at 2:40 on Saturday and 3:20 on Sunday. The sun will rise at 7:21 and set at 7:12, and evenings will display a crescent moon 24% illuminated. There are two Hooked on Chevy Kidfish events taking place this Saturday. These events are fun for the whole family and include some great prizes for children. Plus, kids may even qualify for the Chevy Kidfish Classic. Visit southwestoutdoorsreport.com and log in as a fan club member, then click on the Hooked on Chevy link to view all of the upcoming events, times, and locations. Stay with us, we're coming right back with fishing updates from Texas, Oklahoma, and Louisiana. Plus, I'll return a little bit later with this week's Ask the Pro feature.
The Southwest Outdoors Report, powered by Chevy, is brought to you by Chevy Silverado, the official truck of the outdoors. Buy quality award-winning tracker boats. Fish the finest. Lowrance, maker of the HDS, high-definition systems, and Academy. Right stuff, low price, every day.
Hey, welcome back everybody. We're on Lake Bridgeport today. 14 feet low, but the fishing here has actually been pretty good. In fact, behind me here, there are a few little pops. You can see shad working on top, and I'm looking on my graph, and there's actually fish. My sonar unit, HDS 5 on the nose up here, there's actually fish down straight under the boat, and there's something to get it going. A little white bass school in action. Finally, this fall, we've got some schooling around the region. You saw me do a show back, 6 weeks or so ago, and I was talking about the fact that the fish have not been schooling very much all summer long. The heat has just been so oppressive, not much oxygen at the surface, and there just hasn't been a lot of schooling activity. But just in the last 3 weeks or so, water temperature is cooling, oxygen levels coming up, and we're actually beginning to see some action on top. So in fact, right here behind me, there's a, look at this right here. Let's go ahead and roll the camera over here and look at all this. See these fish right here? I just put my spoon right in the middle of those fish right there, and I got one of them. All right, let's reel him in right quick, and we're gonna get you to some fishing reports here. Let's go to Cajun Phil and Kevin over in Louisiana.
Let's talk about the rivers this week. We hadn't talked about the rivers in a long time. We're going to start off with the Sabine River, which is near Orange, Texas. Matter of fact, the Sabine River is good right now all the way from, say, Toledo Bend down to the Interstate 10 bridge. They're catching lots of bass on a lot of different lures, crankbaits, spinnerbaits, plastics. It doesn't seem to matter. Last river I want to talk about is the Red River. That's where the Bass Master is going to be next time. And I tell you what, Red River, especially up around Shreveport, Louisiana, right there seems to be the crankbaits working really good right now, especially throwing next to the trees. Also spinnerbaits and plastics. Try fishing some of the rivers. You'll be surprised at the amount of bass you'll catch. Now I'll tell you what, here's Captain Kevin on Calcasieu Lake with the saltwater report.
Tell you what, as you can see by the proof laying right here on the ground, fishing's picking up. We're starting to get into the fall pattern. Lots of shrimp starting to come out of the marsh. We did catch all these on live shrimp, and some soft plastics are working good under the burns. Lots of redfish up over the shallow reefs and on the shallow flats. Trout right now, they're over the oyster reef. Turner's Bay is real good. Till next time, this is Captain Kevin Broussard saying happy fishing. May God bless. We're going to see y'all next week.
There's something down on the bottom swimming at me. It's probably another white bass. Trying to catch a hybrid here. A lot of hybrid stripers in this lake. Welcome back to Lake Bridgeport. You can see behind me the schooling fish have for the most part gone down. So if it's a white bass, this is a big one here. And so what I've done is put on a bigger spoon and dropped it down to the bottom underneath the same place where the fish were schooling, and that is a hybrid striper. All right, that's a small one, but that's a hybrid nonetheless. So we got both fish mixed, and we're gonna try the little technique of trying to pick the hybrids out of the school. I can catch all the white bass I want by taking a small spoon, jigging it around the surface, throwing a top water, a little small crankbait. I could catch a lot of white bass, but let's try to pick out a few hybrids, see if we can cherry pick those around these schools of bait fish. All right, stay with us. This one's going back, and when we come back, Brian Hughes is waiting in the wings. He's gonna give you all the latest fishing reports from around the drought-stricken state of Texas. Let's see what's going on next. Stay with us.
The Southwest Outdoors Report, powered by Chevy, is brought to you by Abu Garcia for life. By Navionics. Enjoy Navionics anytime, anywhere. By Whataburger, just like you like it. And by Motor Guide Trolling Motors.
Hey, welcome back everybody. We're on Lake Bridgeport today. A lot of schooling white bass around the surface. You don't see them right now, but they'll come up from time to time. What I'm trying to do is cherry pick the hybrid stripers off the bottom, and what I'm doing is going underneath the schools, letting it go to the bottom, cranking it up 4 or 5 cranks. There's something, he's got it, he's got it. There he comes. Good hybrid, big one, look at this. Oh my gosh, this is one of the biggest ones I've caught in Lake Bridgeport right here. I'm gonna get the net out after this dude. Oh yeah, look at the size of this bad boy. Man, that is what you want to do right there. This is a palmetto hybrid striper, which is a cross between a male white bass and a female striped bass. They do that in a hatchery. They raise them to fingerling size, and then they stock them. They stocked them for many years in this lake, and they're doing extremely well. But that is the way you cherry pick the hybrids out of the schools. Now, it's really hard to not throw at these white bass when they're schooling around, but I've caught so many tens of thousands of white bass that I just decided, look, we're gonna let those alone. We're gonna go to a big spoon. There are 2 different ways you can catch these. Let's let this one go back real quick. Boy, that is a nice hybrid right there. The first way is to use a big spoon. So that's a big size spoon, and most of the white bass won't hit a spoon that size. You let it go to the bottom, you crank it up 7 or 8 cranks, push your button, let it go back down. You don't jig it. We'll show you the other way that you can catch them here in a little bit.
Hi everybody, and welcome to this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you by Fun and Sun Boat Sales. Now, in West Texas. It's not where you want to fish, it's where you can. And one lake holding up very well through this extreme drought is Allen Henry. And with the Cheryl Unker program opening Saturday, October 1st, it's not a bad choice for bass fishing in Texas. Go out to your structure off deep points or in the mid-lake area and fish deep diving crankbaits, Carolina rigs, and drop shot rigs. Over on Lake Tawakoni, the striper fishing literally up and down. That is, sometimes they're on top and you can throw your standard top waters at them. Then you may find that they're on the bottom and you'll need a sassy shad on a jig head. Throw that out, let it sink all the way to the bottom, jig it up and down very slowly, and you'll catch those bottom stripers on Tawakoni. And finally, Lake Livingston, still showing great catfish catches around the dam. That's this week's Lone Star Lakes, brought to you by Fun and Sun Boat Sales. Now let's check in with Mr. Bill Olson. He's on the coast.
Hi folks, Texas Outdoors Journal brings you this week's report. For the very best monthly coastal and inland fishing information, plus year-round hunting tips, check out our award-winning magazine. Pick up a copy of TOJ on newsstands or subscribe securely at the website on the screen. Well, this weekend, many anglers will gleefully say, "Hello, October," the very best month of the year for fishing the coast. Cooler seasonal weather has stimulated fishing habits of specks and reds, while flounder activity from Sabine to Galveston and along the middle and lower coast has also increased. Fish areas that drain marshes and flats. Now, when the north wind blows, bait is flushed out of the back marshes. That's increasing bird activity on Sabine, Trinity, Galveston, and Matagorda bays. Specks and reds are feeding underneath. Now, from San Antonio Bay southward through Aransas and the upper Laguna Madre, specks are moving up early to feed along grassy shorelines. Longbar on the lower Laguna Madre continues to give up good specks. Redfish are schooling behind the convention center, and Mexiquita Flats is becoming more active. Offshore, out of Freeport, Port O'Connor, and Port Aransas, sailfish, dorado, and kingfish have been caught. Nearshore activity has been highlighted by big bull redfish working in waters about 30 feet deep, as well as around Texas jetties. This weekend, Saturday has a double tide schedule of 2 high and 2 low tides. This Sunday has a single low tide as the only tide of the day. I'm Bill Olson, and I'll see you on the coast.
The Southwest Outdoors Report, powered by Chevy, is brought to you by Academy. Right stuff, low price, every day. Nitro Performance Bass Boats. Fish your best in a Nitro. Costa Del Mar Sunglasses. See what's out there. And by Chevy Silverado, the official truck of the outdoors.
I promised you that I would show you the other method for catching hybrid stripers on a really calm day like this and trying to hand pick them out from under the schools of white bass. Now I'm using a spoon. I've got just a regular jigging spoon on my other smaller rod, and I'm using that to locate the schools of fish along with my sonar. So I've located another school of these white bass roaming around just right here around a little underwater hump. So then you take and throw a soft plastic jerkbait out there, you let it go to the bottom there, it reached the bottom, and you just start it in on a slow, steady retrieve. You let that little swim tail kick, and you keep it real low underneath the school of white bass. Let's see if this is a white or a hybrid. Come up here. All right, so that's the other technique. In fact, here coming up just in a little bit, I'll show you the swim bait. But you can actually target the hybrid stripers and pick them out of the schools of white bass. Now I could throw that spoon out here and catch literally 100 white bass. I've probably caught 100 of them today, but what I'm trying to do now is hand pick and get these hybrids to bite that are hanging right underneath the schools of white bass. You can do it with a spoon, a big heavy spoon, like I showed you earlier. That's about a 2-ounce spoon, or you can do it with a big heavy swim bait with a swim tail. All right, that one goes back. And it's time for our next fishing report. Let's go to Oklahoma, north end of our southwest region. Check in with Gary Dolan.
You know, September is turning out to be a pretty interesting month for fishing in Oklahoma, but that's not unusual for this time of year. As the days shorten and the temperatures fall, that really impacts the water temperatures. We've also had some recent rains in parts of Oklahoma. That impacts the water temperatures as well as the lake levels. So the fish are really on the move right now. I've mentioned before that a good way to find out what is happening in the bass fishing world is to follow the local tournaments. I've checked in with several of those over this past week that have had events, and most of them reported the fishing has been really quite slow. The guys are saying that the fish are being caught anywhere from 8 inches of water up to 20 feet deep. So when you have that kind of variety going on, it does make it tough to target them. What you need to do right now is really cover a lot of water, throw baits that you can move quickly with in those waters. A rattling bait like a rattle trap, a square bill crankbait, the bottom bug technique are all types of baits that you can fish fast and work right now for what these fish are doing. Also, I talked to Tommy Biffle, who with his friends Nate and Jason went down to Lake Tenkiller this week. They said they had 22 smallmouth all the way up to 4 pounds, said they had an absolute blast. They were throwing the Biffle bug, dragging along the bottom, and caught fish throughout the day. One thing about it, you can't catch them if you don't go.
Hey, it's time for this week's Lowrance Hot Lake of the Week. Each week we show you a great fishing destination for this time of year around our southwest region. If you watch our show regularly, you see Cajun Phil talking a lot about an area in southeast Louisiana, the Lafitte area. It is one of the best speckled trout, redfish, and even bass destinations in our entire region. My good friend Tofield Bourgeois runs a good charter service out of there, got a great lodge. It's a wonderful place for a weekend fishing trip or a mini vacation. So let's show you the Lafitte area right now on the Lowrance HDS 10. And as you can see, it's south of New Orleans, about 45 minutes down State Highway 45. You can stay at the great lodge there that Tofield's got. You can get in their charter boats right on the canal. Now, from this canal, they have excellent access to all of the big water fishing in several different directions. You see all of these lakes and bays, plus they can also access all of these smaller canals so the trout and reds can't run and hide. Plus, no matter what the wind does, they can always find fishable water. Stay with us. When we come back, we wrap it all up for you in a tidy package, including the Academy Right Stuff feature, show you the equipment you'll need to do this kind of fishing for hybrids and whites, and we'll have your big catch of the week and your Ask the Pro answer.
The Southwest Outdoors Report, powered by Chevy, is brought to you by Stren, the standard of dependability, by Jean LaRue Lures and Bobby Garland Baits, quality soft plastic baits made in Oklahoma with American pride. Chevy Silverado, the official truck of the outdoors, and Mercury Marine.
Welcome back, everyone. It's time now for our Ask the Pro feature. Our question this week is from Debbie in Oklahoma, who writes, do plastic baits work in the fall? What do you prefer? For the answer, let's ask 2000 Bass Masters Classic champion, Woo Dave.
You know, the question is, do plastic baits work in the fall? And actually they work all year long. There's more fish caught on plastics than every other lure put together. And I always recommend that you learn to fish a plastic worm before you fish anything else. Fall fishing, I have a lot of luck with like a big worm, like a Zoom monster, 10-inch old monster worm. Bigger worms seem to work good in the fall. But on the other turnaround, a lot of times you can take a little worm like a centipede or a French fry on a Carolina rig and do real good in the fall. But I find a bigger worm usually works the best.
If you have a question for one of the pros, just visit our website at southwestoutdoorsreport.com. Click on the Ask the Pro link and send us your information. Have a great weekend, everyone. Now back to Barry.
There's something on my spoon. Probably a white bass. Oh, it's a largemouth. Look at that. Hey, hey. All right, well, that'll just be a good way to wrap it up here at Lake Bridgeport. You never know what you're going to catch, especially on a spoon out here deep on a underwater hump in the middle of the lake. By the way, we've just been fishing underwater humps and ridges all down the middle part of the lake today, so there's no real key location to doing this. It's wherever the bait fish are, that's where the fish are. All right, it is time for the big catch of the week. Congratulations this week goes to Adrian Oliveras of Dallas, Texas. A very unusual catch, I think. He's shown here with a 12.5-pound striped bass he caught at Lake Lavon, of all places. Evidently, there are some good stripers in Lake Lavon. If you'd like to enter the contest, go to the website at southwestoutdoorsreport.com. Top right-hand corner is the area to register to become a member. It's free. Once you're in there, you can send in your big catch of the week, ask a question for the Ask the Pro, read my weekly blog, check on the Chevy Kidfish schedule, and log into the chat sessions that happen each and every Saturday morning at 8:30. This week's online chat session will be hosted by Bill Olson, our Gulf Coast saltwater fishing reporter. And don't forget that our show next week will be on at 10:30 Thursday night, or immediately after the high school football game, if that game happens to run long. And we'll always be on Saturday morning at 8 o'clock. You can watch our show live online 24/7 at our website, watch last week's episode, and you can see all of our archived episodes for the entire season on our YouTube channel. You can link to that directly from the front page of the website, as you can our Facebook page. You'll always get a weekly sneak peek preview of each week's episode on our Facebook page, along with lots of other content that you won't see here on the television show. Time right now for the Academy Right Stuff, and we show you the equipment you'll need to locate and catch the white bass and the hybrid stripers like you saw today. First of all, I use this jigging spoon, I showed it to you earlier, as my locate bait. I locate the schools with that. Then if I want to hand pick those stripers, I either go to the bigger, heavier spoon, that's a 4-inch spoon. Sometimes I go to a 5-inch, or the big 5-inch soft plastic swim bait with the swimming tail like you see there. Hey, I hope you learned something about catching these fall-time stripers, not only here at Bridgeport, but at lots of lakes around the region. I am in love with the hybrid striped bass. We'll see you next week. Until then, I'm Barry Stokes. Be safe, have fun. Bye-bye, y'all.